All right, we got stand-up comedian Rena Calm here on the Abracadamn podcast. How you doing, Rena?
Hey, great to see you.
Okay, Rena, I tell you what, I know who you are, and a lot of people know who you are because you literally travel all over the country. But if you don't mind, will you go ahead and introduce yourself to the listeners?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, listeners. I am Rena Calm. I am a stand-up comedian. Those things are true. I also do tour around the country all over the place, or at least I'm going to again, and I did before things stopped. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm known for now. I live on the road full time when I'm doing this out of a tricked out Prius, which is pretty cramped but neat. And yeah, I have performed now in 45 states. I was trying to get to all 50, but then had to stop because of this thing that happened to all of us globally. And yeah, so just picking back up, hoping to finish the final five this year. And I also have a book of puns on Amazon. It's called Once a Pun a Time, which normally I have a copy of to show off right here, but I do not because I sold all of my copies on the road. So yay.
And
Yeah,
now
I'm
let's
sorry.
also give a big shout out to the background at Rena Calm, hashtag comedy. How clever and amazing is that?
She's
Uh,
got puns.
She's got the puns. And you know what else though? You are a very funny stand-up comedian. One thing,
Thank
I
you.
do not blow smoke. I do not blow smoke. I'm not the guy in the back that says good set when you didn't have a good set. I'm not that guy. If you wasn't a good set, I just don't talk to you.
Yeah, that's the best.
But I've known a handful of pun comedians, but that's I'm going to be honest. I am really going to be the first female pun comedian. So pun's your names, huh?
I kind of explain the book to people as like dad jokes my father doesn't care for. And I something about my sense of humor, I don't know really that makes sense, even though I'm trying to own it. I told a joke at my gynecologist's office a couple months ago, and I mean, it wasn't a pun, but it was just a very good joke. And I thought of it while I was there, and I said it to the receptionist at the gynecologist's office, and she laughed, but then she said, "You remind me of my husband." Again, this is a gynecologist's office. So she was, "You remind me of my husband. He's always saying stuff that's weird or gross that he thinks is funny." And I've never been so owned in my life. But yeah, I do puns.
And you know what I do, and I've never been one of these people that I don't separate female and male comedians. I don't. I just say comics
Thanks.
for comics. I don't do that. Um, but I will say this: I am loving what is kind of going on in the world of stand-up comedy right now. Is there is so much. There's a lot of great comics that are emerging that just happen to be females, and
True.
seeing. I think there's going to be a generation that's going to be inspired by you guys right now because I mean you're so much more visual than what it was when I was a child. I think that I mean we had when I was growing up. I think Carol Burnett, Roseanne Barr, and Elaine Boozler. Were like the three female comic. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
I
you
mean, Joan Rivers was,
oh
cranking it. Yeah,
yeah, of course Joan Rivers
she's she's really like my style with kind of like slightly inappropriate wordplay or like,
was the queen. You know what I mean? She
yeah.
really was the queen. But now though, I think there's so many now, and not bad comics. I'm talking good comics, you know.
I'm excited for this wave to continue because what I'm seeing is like just a little bit more of that, what's that thing, equality happening where um I mean you're still seeing lots of lineups that are like eight dudes and one lady, and so I know that that's happening, that that's true. I think somebody actually did did the math and broke it down where the amount of good working professional comics, it's actually already like a pretty even split as far as like gender. But what you see in at least the scene that they did the study in was that an overwhelming percentage of people who start comedy are men, which I think is fascinating, just how people are in general. And I've met so many men and women that like validate this description where men are raised to feel like they should speak or be confident and have an opinion, and women are raised more to like be quiet and submissive and not embarrass themselves or whatever, or maybe women are more practical and it's kind of a crazy thing to do. But yeah, I definitely think that those numbers even out once talent and professionality comes into play. But yeah, not all the way that the lineups are totally even yet, but yeah,
Some
we're getting.
places, there's some places that now I, I see things so much. The way I do things is actually there was a female comic that posted on Facebook the other day that she caught wind that a booker doesn't like booking female comics, and I was like, this guy's not going to be in business too long. This guy's losing. This guy's an idiot, a moron. I was told many years ago that you can't do a show with all female lineup. You can't do it. And I was like, well, let's do it. You
Oh,
know,
I've heard it all, but I mean, even like the guy who's in charge of the biggest comedy festival in the world, the guy who runs the Just for Laughs, I mean, we're gonna get canceled if this goes to air, but I mean, he's being canceled kind of right now, but it's kind of one of those things where he's been like, when I say canceled, even that word is ridiculous. Like, he's still a person, he's still alive, he still has his business. Like, this call out on him has happened multiple times, but because he holds so much power in the comedy industry, it's just kind of been ignored. And honestly, the stuff that he's doing, as far as like, he's not assaulting anybody or hurting people in that way. But when you have that much power and that much say in a huge industry that so many people dream of being a part of, and you're doing things like telling comedians, I'm not going to say female comics because let's not think of it that way, telling comedians that they can't wear those boots on stage or something. Like he wouldn't book women that wore tall boots or something like that. Like things like that that are like, you've literally damaged people's shot at like success and career based on your weird like preferences that have nothing to do with this business.
now, was it just towards female comics or
And definitely a huge issue with the LGBTQIA community, like the way that he would. I think like there was one comic that got as far as it takes so much to get into that space to be performing for this person. And somebody had just posted their experience about performing for this guy, Jeff Singer. I'll say his name. I don't know why I wouldn't, but performing for this guy and him saying like, I've seen gay before about their act. And it's like, you can't reduce people. A lot of what I'm working on right now is actually less puns and more, and my act right now is more, I'm doing a lot of talking about like labels and things like that because, and this is not a joke, but something I've been saying a lot is that I feel like a lot of times they divide us more than define us. And so, yeah, I'm happy to accept the label of comic, but yeah, I think that in this arena, that's kind of the most important one, right?
absolutely? And I want to say this one thing. Like I don't think any topic is really off the table if you have the skill level to make that topic funny. Now,
Absolutely.
and not every comic has that level to make every topic funny.
Absolutely.
But I if people want to criticize a gay comic for doing gay material, they draw their material the same way as you do, I do, based off your life experiences. So
Well, also in that situation, I think it might have been more the case of like with a lot of things like that with identity stuff, it's like, especially in showbiz, like if there is, let's say, a gay comedian doing their set and they don't mention that they're gay, then they can be told that they need to do more gay stuff because they need to represent that identity, and it's none of that's funny at all.
it's a lose lose kind of situation with
Yeah.
like that. And the gatekeepers in show business can be so weird. And
Yeah.
and there's some venues I will never get booked at. I will never be booked at I know I could smash the room, but they won't book me. Just because there's something about me they don't like. Who knows? Maybe it's the boots. Uh,
You got to stop wearing those knee highs, man.
Stop wearing those knee-high boots. But also the thing about you also, Rena, that I noticed. Now I know you like to take jabs at the dark stuff and a lot of things, but it's which is funny, by the way.
Only if it's funny.
Funny. It's funny. The but just like I mentioned earlier, your headphones bit. You know what I mean? And everybody, we live in a day and age where everybody has damn some type of earbud in their freaking ear holes. And I just thought that's so clever and that's so damn funny. You know,
I
and
missed that bit. Yeah. Thanks.
I love it. So
But
the
it is like what you're saying is true. Like it comes from such an innocent humor place of something that just I thought of that was just funny and that's all it was. So the fact that like in order to get to that laugh, I have to bring up a kind of a dark scenario or I mean, you never want to make a joke at the expense of like I mean, for God's sake, you can't even say homeless anymore. You have to say unhomed or unhoused. I don't know. I lived in my car for like a year. So I feel like I identify with some of that struggle, but oh God, even okay, see now it's gone off the rails. But
maybe you can make that homeless joke because you've been
I've I don't have my own home. Yeah, so but yeah, like I would never make fun of somebody in that situation or make fun of that reality, but that joke is through a lens of my own reality in such a way that it's not offensive. I don't it's always gotten laughs in any kind of a room, so I've never even thought of it as being dark or offensive. It's just like that's silly.
Well, no, you are really good at your craft, and it's always. But you notice one thing now. Have you ever gotten this? Like somebody who's not a comic, not an entertainer, they think of some crazy, super dark joke, and especially like they'll make fun of a homeless person. Oh, I thought of a good one, and they come and tell you, it's like, dude, that's no, you know what I mean? That's not cool. And and I haven't always been a saint with that. I've got a story this dawned on me, and you grow by experiences in life. Man, I look so glowy. I'm sparkly. It's the glitter. It's
Yeah,
it's
showbiz.
a magic stripper. I'm David Coppercrotch, ladies and gentlemen. My glitter. Uh, but a real life experience. I was street performing one time, and when you perform on the streets, you see a lot of homeless people and there actually was a homeless guy, and he was well.
Sorry, but if they're getting laughs, you're messing up. You know what I mean? Like that's gotta be like
well, street performing, you want people to tip you. So that's how well I was doing. The homeless were watching, uh, but the but no, this guy was like literally out of his mind, and I there for a minute I started playing off the crowd, and then I kind of played off him a little bit, and he had no clue what was going on. But when I got in the car and drove home, just something hit me. It was like, Danny, that was somebody's son out there. You know, this guy, he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't, and I just,
oh,
what I mean? It hit me like a ton of bricks.
comedy. Somebody who I love said this to me a couple years ago that comedy is there to bring levity. And so even the darkest moments like need levity is more than the others. That's why the equation is tragedy plus time equals comedy. Like maybe you need more time for certain tragedies, like, but if you can't if you're bringing something up to bum people out, then it's not comedy. But if you're bringing something up, whatever it is, to make it feel better, then that's successful comedy. And I would say in a situation where, I mean, if he was kind of like, uh, I mean, obviously, like mental health is like a real problem, and that's why there are so many homeless people, that and the failing economy, but, and the capitalist structure we all are victims of. But, uh, was he like bothering the audience kind of or like
Not really. He just didn't know what planet he was on, and he was kind of looming in and out a little bit. And I would be doing it was it was an elephant in the room situation where it had to be addressed.
Right. That's right. So like even if he's not physically he's threatening the sensibility or I mean, he's changing the vibe and it's weird if you don't address it. And I'm sure you didn't make fun of him and be like, "Oh, you probably don't talk to your parents," like something like that. Like I don't know. At that point, everybody's uncomfortable. So you addressing that guy is bringing levity to the awkwardness that everybody's experiencing together. And you know what? If he's crazy enough, I'm sure he didn't notice.
He had no clue. Now, let me ask you this: how long have you been doing stand up comedy, and where did it all start for you?
I've been doing comedy for about 10 years now, a little more than 10 years. And so now I'm a lifer, because after the last year, it's like, well, I have invested already my youth. So, I'm going to just keep at it. But I started in Chicago. I did improv for a while before I started stand up. So stand up has been 10 years, but Chicago is great for learning the ropes for all kinds of comedy. And now I feel like stand up is bigger there than improv, but at the time, improv was like huge. I mean, it still is a huge improv town, but yeah, it's been quite the journey to get to being a professional hobo for sure.
Now, oh, that's funny. The what's interesting is the improv. I actually studied a little bit of improv. Now I do sketch comedy. I do a lot of sketch comedy.
Nice.
But improv though is different. And I remember my first experience with improv was I actually attended the Gatlinburg Improv Festival, and
Ooh,
I didn't know anything about improv really, and I'm still not really, I'm not an improv actual person, but I remember being thrown on stage in front of like I don't 200 people, and they were like, "You're a scientist with a failed invention, go!" And I'm just like, "Holy shit!" What is going on here? And the thinking on your feet, and thank God it was like a 70-year-old woman working with me who saved me, but
yeah.
but you could really pick up. There's a lot of skill you pick up though with improv, especially now with crowd work and stuff like that and stand up.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for the time that I did it, and there's three like improv schools in Chicago, and I've taken the improv classes. I didn't finish the one at Improv Olympic, but I've done all three of them, and they all just have different kind of philosophies about it. And Second City was the first one I did, and their program is to like teach you to do improv using games like they had on Whose Line Is It Anyway? So it's all short form stuff where like it's all more fast paced and things like that. And the whole point of their program is to train people how to use improv as a writing tool to develop sketch comedy. So I have a lot of respect for like that process using improv as a writing tool and I mean on stage I'm grateful to have like my wits about me for yeah like keeping it. I kind of made fun of myself on stage the other day where I have a really sneaky way of making it seem like I'm doing crowd work by like just kind of asking kind of vague questions of the room and making it seem really personal, but the truth is I don't want to talk to anybody. Uh, and yeah, then other improv theaters like the Improv Olympic had its own thing, its own format, the Herald, and then Annoyance is the other theater in Chicago where their whole thing is like, what is your particular kind of funny? Like, whatever your thing is, do that like the most. Um, their other thing, though, at Annoyance is they're really big on initiations and making a strong initiation. And that's something that I've kept of like, just go, just do something, make a bold move like right away. And then that's the suggestion part for you where they said, be a scientist with no whatever in a failed dimension or something. And then you're like stuck because you hadn't planned on that but somebody has to jump in and like make any move and then you just play off of that
God,
but
that's
yeah,
when you think of it that way too. I mean, and I'm giving much love to improv, my improv folks, my improv friends, but I mean, that's probably something they can carry over in life with everything. I mean, making
big
decisions,
time.
wow. I didn't even really think of it that way. But what's also funny what you say about with crowd work. That's true. I think that's true. I do a lot of crowd work. I interact with the audience a lot, and I ask them
Yeah,
a question, but it's like I want to know, but I don't want you to talk too much.
right.
So yeah.
Yeah. People have complimented me for doing great crowd work sometimes, and I'm like, "Huh, okay." Like, I mean, I've done a few where it felt more like crowd control than crowd work. People be getting rowdy, but uh, yeah, I feel like I'm really sneaky about it because I find a way to make it just enough interaction where they feel like, oh, maybe I'm just telling this joke just to them and it's special in this moment. But the truth is, it just takes a little bit of that interaction to get them really tuned into it. So,
I loved it. Like I said, I watched your clip at Zany's in Chicago, and I love that. I thought that, especially the way you brought out to the show. And now, listen, let me ask you this. Okay, so you've been in the stand up comedy 10 years, and now was this and did now you have a Jewish background, correct?
I do, yeah. And also that Zanies one is an example of zero crowd work because that was for a TV taping for a local Chicago stand-up comedy show. So that's me like cranked under the most pressure and heavy eyeliner because their makeup artist did it weird. And like, yeah, just like knowing for sure, word for word, what's gonna happen up there in that 10 minutes. Whereas like, now it's definitely evolved into just trying to enjoy the moment and play with the crowd a little bit more and doing longer sets like headlining stuff gives you a lot more time to explore that for sure. What was the question?
Well, here I was going to talk about the beautiful side of my some of my
Oh,
favorite.
being Jewish.
Absolutely. Okay, first
Yeah.
of all, I love performing for a room full of Jewish people. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're not complainers.
But they love me. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. They love me. I look and but this is one thing about the Jewish culture, especially in America, is the background in show business, and it's almost like, I mean, I guess the stereotype is if you're Jewish, well, you better be a little funny at least. You know what I mean?
I
So, did you
mean,
grow up
I
around a
ha
funny family? Was your family funny? What made Rena what made Rena funny?
my family was troubled, so that made me funny.
Every comic, okay, I'll say that every comic. All right, you're screwed up a little like the rest of us. All right.
Yeah. I will tell you this, though, which you will probably be fascinated by, I hope, is that the Hebrew language is full of puns. Like the way Hebrew is like, yeah, it's set up. There's just lots of puns in the language, which I couldn't like. I mean, even like the word, same with like aloha, shalom, it means hello, goodbye, and peace. There's a lot of like double entendres, double meanings, like written into the Hebrew language. So I don't really speak it, but I did. I used to, and yeah, there was the other thing, like the equation of like tragedy plus time equals comedy, and we like keep getting kicked out of countries and stuff, our whole legacy of being alive. So I don't know, we've just had a lot of humor's a deflection thing too, where like, I don't know, let's say somebody wants to like kill your race, you could be like, hey, what about you ever seen Wooded?
Well,
Hey, fun mustache, like make light of it. I don't know.
well, like I said, I love Jewish people. And the other thing, they love magicians. So hey, except Jesus, they were the only magician. But besides
Oh, I know.
that, but
Yeah.
but seriously though, some of the greatest shows in I've funnest shows I've done is like Hanukkah, so much fun. So and I noticed I was like, gosh, it's different the different type of crowds you do work for. You know what I mean? You pick up on different
Yeah.
crowds and audiences, and I tend to have my favorite type of audiences. It seems like, I mean, I've always like a demographic of a mix, but sometimes when you do some of those type of gigs where you might do a room where it's pretty much a complete, everyone in the audience is black, you know,
Right.
and I enjoy those shows too. I love those shows.
I mean, I sometimes when I'm performing for like an event where it's all like for a synagogue or something, which I just did a Zoom show for a synagogue. And I mean, just to illustrate my point of when I said they're not complainers, that Zoom show had designated laughers, which a lot of Zoom shows do. They'll have people like who have agreed to have their microphone on just so that we can audibly hear the laughter to make it feel like a real show. While everybody else is muted and making popcorn or jerking off or whatever they're doing. And then, or both. And then this synagogue show ended up muting the laughers because too many of the audience members were complaining that the sound of the laughter was like ruining the show for them. They couldn't hear.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's
And
hilarious.
I also feel sometimes like people, when I talk about being Jewish, I was raised super, super Jewish. I was born in Israel, and like
Wow, that's
all of my siblings have names that have like a phlegm noise in them. No, I'm just kidding, but really, and so I feel like sometimes, and I'm maybe a little bit, I'm not a practicing Jew anymore. I have a joke about that where I say I'm not a practicing Jew, but I'm never going to quit. We need the numbers. So I feel like sometimes they get a little bit excited that I'm Jewish, but then disappointed that I'm like not like a good Jew.
so I'm gonna try to get inside your head, sister, and redecorate is what we're gonna do. Okay. I'm gonna try to read your mind. Do you believe in psychics? Do you believe in this
Sure.
stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. I tell you what, Rena, I've got I want you to think of one of these cards. Just think of one. Don't say it, just think it. Get inside your head. Is it in there?
It's in there.
It's in there. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see. I'm going to shuffle the cards. I don't want it to I'm going to lose it in the cards. I tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut the deck. All right. I'm going to cut it right here. So I've got I've cut the deck. I'm obligated. Okay. I'm obligated. For the first time, what was the card you were thinking of?
3 of diamonds.
The 3 of diamonds.
Yes.
I said I cut the deck. I'm obligated right here. All you people on Zoom world and YouTube world can see this. The 3 of diamonds.
Wow. Wow. Hey, turkey. Look at this.
Let the turkey see this. This is awesome. And
That's
just
amazing.
like a comedy show, the turkey's got his back to us. So
yeah.
But you've been abracadamned. Yes.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Do you like balloon animals? You know how magicians make balloon animals, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I only know one, but I'm going to, this is just for you. This is
Oh,
special
wow.
for you, Rena Common. I'm going to do just the only one I know. Hold on. Hold on real quick.
This is thrilling. All of the magic sound effects off camera sound not great.
Well, here, check it out. Look.
Especially card shuffling.
Look, this is the only one I know, but it's a bird. Okay, all right. There we go. Da-da-da! To listen to the rest of this episode, be sure to like and subscribe to the Abracadamn podcast wherever it is you listen to your podcast. And also be sure to like and subscribe to the Abracadamn YouTube channel for more interesting content. Abracadabra.